Gamers lined up to get their hands on this little package, Halo 3.
The difference between good enough and awesome is so big, and I mean, there's this standard set by everyone here that, I mean, good enough sucks. You can't do good enough.
It was so beyond our production capability. We were just like, you know, that's crazy. We can't do that.
I think we spent years, frankly, at this point, saying, how do we ratchet the bar across the board up?
Alright, I think you get the point. I think it's clear to see by now that 343 Industries simply aren't up to the same standard as Bungie. Unfortunately, Halo Infinite is the most important Halo game since Combat Evolved. And to understand why, I think we need to take a look at how we got ourselves into this scenario. Let's begin talking about Halo 4. It had 2 years of development, and really and truly it should have launched as a launch title for the Xbox One. This time Sprint was mainstream, it wasn't an armor ability like in Halo Reach, and a whole host of armor abilities were introduced too. The art style was a radical change, and that along with the new sound design, it kind of meant that Halo was borderline unrecognizable. Loadouts were introduced and never returned, thank God. And really all these extra gameplay mechanics harmed map design, even though some of the maps were great. The campaign isn't really that fun to play, especially with the new irritating enemies, the Prometheans. Of course, quick time events and a lack of ammo didn't really help. If I'm honest, Forge and custom games were a bit of a letdown from Halo Reach. I don't think there was a single map that matched the canvas of Forge World, and there was less freedom with regards to object placement and game modes. I think Spartan Ops was a poor idea that understandably died soon after release. I think if the story is good enough, either include it in the campaign or make a separate game. Of course, the game died quickly and much improvement was needed ahead of Halo 5.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
There's an argument to be made that this is the most broken game launch in history. I don't know who is in charge of deciding that this product was of merchantable quality for consumers. Honestly, I don't think I need to explain any further. We all know what happened. The Master Chief Collection was a catastrophe. At launch we realised this game has the least amount of content out of any main Halo title. I mean, just look at all this content that eventually came as free DLC, and honestly it only scratches the surface. There are a ton of game modes, weapons, vehicles, sandbox elements that simply just didn't make it into Halo 5. When taking into account the track record of Halo and the expectations of Halo 5's story, it arguably has the worst story in video game history. Now I know what you're saying, there are probably countless narratives that are worse than Halo 5. However, this is Halo, there's a certain level of expectation, and it's astonishing that such a confusing and thoughtless plot was even conceived. Gameplay in the campaign was lackluster, with the new Spartan abilities further complicating and ruining Halo's simple game mechanics. On paper, Warzone was a nice idea, but the mode died like Halo 4. Speaking of microtransactions, 343 decided that it would be a great place to put all the cosmetics, so customizing your Spartan with cosmetics you have earned is gone, destroying any reason to care about them. And it goes unnoticed, but yeah, Halo added microtransactions. Unless your game is free, there is no excuse. This is purely a cash grab from Microsoft. Theater to this day is broken and buggy to a point where it can't be used as intended. And to top it all off, they removed split screen.
The f*** gonna take out split screen from Halo!
If, like me, that segment put you in a coma of depression, don't worry, I did it for a reason. You see, while planning this video I realised that a negative outlook for Halo Infinite would do nothing for anyone watching. The game is 343's last chance, and even if the probability of them getting it right is small, I still want to believe it. So stick around as we put on some rose tinted glasses and consider why Halo Infinite will be great. To begin, it's time to speculate as to why the three aforementioned games turned out not as intended. Halo 4's 2 years of development was simply not enough time for 343 Industries to create a Halo game up to standard. In 2003, after nearly 2 years of work on Halo 2, Bungie scrapped their entire graphics engine. I hope this puts into perspective how crucial that extra year is. We can laugh at the Master Chief Collection, but in reality, attempting to put 4 games excluding remasters onto a new console and combine the gameplay, weapons, sound, maps, graphics, everything, it's a really hard job. And 2 years to do it whilst developing Halo 5? Borderline impossible. 343 were set for failure. Halo 5's biggest complaint was its lack of content, and of course nowadays, this isn't an issue. Like the previous examples, 343 just needed more time. Halo Infinite is in its last year of its 5 years of development. To put that into perspective, if 343 kept up the trend of releasing a Halo game every 3 years, Infinite would have released in 2018, and a sequel only next year. If they can't craft a great Halo game in 5 years, they never will. Halo 4's story received mixed reception from Halo fans, and you better believe I'm on the positive side. Halo had never explored Master Chief or Cortana as characters, and Halo 4 had the audacity to do so. Considering this was 343's first game and the first in the new trilogy, it was a very strong beginning story-wise. Halo 5 learned a lot from the mistakes that Halo 4 made. Loadouts, ordnance drops, unfair starts, and armor abilities were gone. Competitively, the game was much improved on, and this was a real focus from 343. In fact, I would argue that if playing in Arena, this is the most balanced Halo to date. The Spartan abilities are a grey area, but all the weapons, vehicles, grenades, they're all viable in their own way. The Rex system provided interesting variants of standard Halo weapons, and we got new customization options such as proper weapon skins, stances, and even assassinations. We eventually got a custom games browser, which in my opinion is the best thing 343 has done for Halo. Even though Halo 3 and Reach had amazing custom games and a huge community, you still had to find a lobby yourself or get together with friends. The custom games browser just lets you pick and join like a server browser. It's such a simple addition that can be so effective, and this was complemented by a vastly improved Forge. It wasn't as accessible to players, but those who knew their way around the controls and various settings could use the new tools and props to create great maps, with more freedom than any other Halo. Breakout is an intense and rewarding mode, and is reminiscent of Search and Destroy from Call of Duty. It's not unique to the first-person shooter genre, but I think it'd be missed if it didn't appear in Halo Infinite. And let's talk about Infinite. We don't know much, but what we do know is brilliant. 5 years of development and releasing on a new powerful console means it should be a complete product content-wise. The original art style is back, and this alone is very powerful in creating that classic Halo experience we all know and love. Split screen is confirmed, and we won't have only 3 missions to play as Master Chief like in Halo 5. Judging Halo 4 and 5, we know 343 can craft an engaging and impactful story, create a fair and balanced competitive environment, and allow forgers to thrive with a custom games browser and improved Forge tools. Both past entries suffered from a lack of time and development, and this won't be an issue for Infinite. I don't want to end this video on a negative note, but 343, this is your last shot at making a Halo game. Many people have already given up hope, but for those like me that have remained, a third consecutive mediocre Halo game would be the breaking point, and it would mean your community would no longer have any confidence in the company. So much is wrong with Halo 4 and 5 that it's hard to have any confidence. Never has the Halo franchise been at such a low point.
The night is darkest just before the dawn.
And we can only hope that the long wait has been worth it. July can't come any sooner.